So good morning all. So last class we discussed about the introduction of software testing methodologies. In that we discussed about importance of bugs and statistical quantification of impact and consequences of bugs. So what is the causes for that? So what are the nightmares and where we are going to stop testing. So these topics we completed in our previous class. We will now see the taxonomy of bugs. Taxonomy of bugs. So what is the taxonomy? So taxonomy is nothing but a classification. So classification is nothing but when we are going to do the testing for any software, we are going to face different types of bugs. Okay. Now in this class, we are going to discuss about the taxonomy of bugs, and we discuss about, and along with that we are going to discuss some remedies to these bugs. Okay. So this topic we are going to discuss in today class. So taxonomy of bugs. So taxonomy is nothing but the classification of bugs. So why taxonomy? So what is the purpose of taxonomy? To study the consequences, nightmares, probability, importance, impact, and the methods of prevention and correction. That means so different types of bugs we are going to detect when we are developing software. Now, so why taxonomy means? The taxonomy is nothing but classification of different bugs. Now, by based on this type of the bug, what is the consequences of that bug? What are the nightmares of that bug? And what is the probability of that bug? And what is the importance and impact and the methods to prevent and correct those bugs? Okay. So Adapnode taxonomy to use it as statistical framework on which your testing strategy is based. So main categories. Now, so bugs is nothing but, what is a bug? So bug is nothing but an error in the software. So taxonomy of bugs means so different categories in the bugs. Okay, so we have 6 main categories with subcategories. That means in every category there are some other subcategory of bugs. In that, the first one is requirements, features, functionality bugs. Second one, structural bugs. Third one, data bugs. So fourth one, coding bugs. Fifth one, interface, integration and system bugs. And sixth one, testing and test design bugs. So what is the first one? So requirements, feature, functionality bugs. So what it means? So when you are gathering the requirements from the client, when if you are not understanding the requirements of the user, then also there is maybe you get the error, you get the bug. Those type of bugs we are called as requirements, features and functionality bugs. So features is nothing but what is the purpose of the bug, what is the use of the application you developed. So functionality is what are the functionalities you are going to perform with the help of the software. Now the first category is requirements, features, functionality bugs. For example, you are going to develop any library management system. For that you are going to gather the requirements. For that you are going to design the features of the software, and you are going to define the functionality of the bug. Okay, next, structural bugs. Structural bugs. So what is the structure? So structural bugs is nothing but how the program flow is going in the program. So that we are called as a structural bugs. That means in these structural bugs, we are going to see about how the flow of control is going from one instruction to another instruction. Next one, data bugs. Data bugs, how data is storing, how the data is retrieving, where the data is storing, how we are going to so retrieve the data. If you are getting any error in the retrieving or storing the data, those type of bugs we are called as a data bugs. Next, coding bugs. any logical bugs, or if you are facing any if you have any errors in your coding or technology, whatever, using Java or any .NET or any language or any technology, if you are facing any bugs or if you get any bugs, these type of bugs we are called as a coding bugs. So next one, interface integration and system bugs. When you complete your application, now this application will be installed in some other system. That system needs some operating systems environment, that support the environment supports your developed application. If you got the error at the time, we call those errors or bugs as an interface integration and system bugs. And last one, testing and testing design bugs. Some extra test cases you are going to run on your software. If you get the bugs, that bugs we are called as a testing and test design bugs. So coming to first one, requirements, feature and functionality bugs. In the 100 bugs, if you get, in the 24.3% of bugs related to, so first one, that is 24.3% you got requirement, features, functionality bugs, and so 25.2 bugs are related to structural bugs, that means the flow control, and 22.3% of bugs related to data bugs, and 9.0 bugs related to coding bugs. So 10.7 bugs related to interface integration and system bugs, and 2.8% bugs related to testing and test design bugs. I hope you all are understand introduction to taxonomy of bugs. So what is a taxonomy? Taxonomy is nothing but the classification of bugs. In this we have six types of bugs. Okay, now we can discuss in detail about each bug. Okay, so first one, requirements, features, functionality bugs. So this is the requirements, features, functionality bugs. So three types of bugs in this. One is requirement and specification, second one is feature, and third one is feature interaction bugs. So first one, so requirement and specification, incompleteness, ambiguous of, self-contradictory. So contradictory is nothing but you are taking the requirements from the user or client now, so that can be ambiguous and self-contradictory, and analyst's assumption not known to the designer. That means the analyst can analyze the requirements and these assumptions not known to the designer, then these may be lead to the requirement bug. Something may miss when specification change. So these are expensive. So why these are expensive? So why? Because so this is the first stage of SDLC. If you take any requirement bug as a requirement, then you are going to develop that, you are going to code, and you are going to test. For that, you are going to take some time. So these are very expensive. So introduced early in SDLC and removed at the last. So that's why these are very expensive. Why these bugs are introduced in first stage of SDLC and these removed in last stage of SDLC. So these bugs are very expensive. So next one, feature bugs. Feature bugs. Specification problems create feature bugs. The wrong feature bug has design implication. So that means if you are taking the specification as wrong, then the specification problems create feature bug. So for example, I want to write a program for addition of two numbers. Now my specification is subtraction, for example. Now it creates the feature bug. Why? Actually, I want to add the two numbers, but I specified that as a c equals to a minus b. That means in starting my assumption is I'm going to add two numbers, but I am assume that it is c equals to a minus b. Now it creates feature bug. So because the specification is wrong, So automatically this leads to feature bug. So what is the feature here? The feature is addition of two numbers, but the wrong feature bug has design implications. The missing feature is easy to detect and correct. And enhancement can accumulate bugs if they increase complexity. So gradual enhancements can accumulate bugs if they increase complexity. So removing feature may foster bugs. Okay. So next one, third one, feature interaction bugs. So these arise. So these feature interaction bugs arise due to unpredictable interaction between feature groups or individual features. The earlier removed, the better, as these are costly if detected at the end. So feature interaction bugs arise due to unpredictable interactions between feature groups or individual features. That means if one function sends the output as an input to another function. Now, so this leads to, if the sending the output is a wrong output, then it leads to feature interaction bugs. So these are very costly. So examples, the call forwarding and call waiting. So federal, state and local tax laws. Okay, this is the example. So no magic remedy. So explicitly state and test important combinations. We are going to apply some testing methodologies to find feature interaction bugs and remedies. So what is the remedies you are going to follow to reduce or to decrease these requirement feature functionality bugs? The remedies are, so use high level formal specification languages to eliminate human to human communication. So use high level formal specification language to eliminate human to human communication. So that means, so that's why in interviews they are giving more importance to communication skills. So why? So this is the one of the remedy to decrease the requirements feature functionality bugs. So use high level formal specification languages to eliminate the human to human communication. Here in requirement specification you are going to take the requirements from the client. So if the both the persons know the English, then they can easily communicate and they can conclude the requirements. Okay, so the first remedy for requirements feature and functionality bugs is, so use high level formal specification languages to eliminate human to human communication. It's only short term support, not a long term solution. Why? Sometimes you are going to interact with the client but they don't have the some formal language. Okay, short term support, specification languages, so formalized requirements, and so automatic test generation is possible. It's cost effective. And long term support, even with a great specification language, problem is not eliminated but is shifted to a higher level. Simple, ambiguous and contradictions may only be removed, so leaving tougher bugs. Testing techniques, the functional test techniques, so transaction flow testing and syntax testing, second one, and domain testing and logic testing and state testing can eliminate requirement and specification bugs. Okay, so now to reduce the or eliminate these requirement feature and functionality bugs, you are going to use these technologies. One is, so transaction flow testing, syntax testing, sorry, domain testing and logic testing and state testing. So these can eliminate requirements on specification bugs. Okay, so next bug is structural bugs. So what is the first one? The first one is requirements, features and functionality bugs. And the second one is structural bugs. So what is a structural bug? we look at the 5 types, their causes and remedies. So what is the first one? Control and sequence bugs. Second one, logic bugs. So third one, processing bugs. So fourth one, initialization bugs. And fifth one, data flow bugs and anomalies. So coming to first one, so control and sequence bugs. So control and sequence bugs. So what is the control and sequence bugs in normal scenario? So control and sequence is nothing but how the execution of the instructions going on. The flow of the execution we call as a so control and sequence bugs. So path left out, unreachable code, and a spaghetti code and Panchko code. So this Panchko code is nothing but so how, for example, we are going to write so 5 instructions in our program. Now we are going to assume all these 5 instructions are executed or not. So for example, if you are writing any condition in your program, this is the condition, this is the sequence. For example, if you are writing the instructions in a sequence, you are going to execute all the instructions in this sequence. So but if in this program, if you write any condition, so then you are going to control the flow of the program. That means you can identify either is there any unreachable code in your system, in your program or not. So or if you left out any paths in your program, so you can identify all these codes. So you are writing some code for your application now, so you are going to identify there is any unreachable code in your program, in your software. So next one, improper nesting of loops, incorrect loop termination or look back, ill-conceived switches. I hope you all are facing all these bugs when you are writing your programs in your lab sessions. So in nesting loops, you are going to miss some time, that leads to infinite looping, and you are going to write some incorporate incorrect loop terminations, all these things. So missing process steps, so duplicate or unnecessary processing, so rampaging of go-tos. So in our C language, there is a concept of go-to. So this is also leads to some control and sequence bugs. So novice programs and old code assembly language and COBOL. So that means in these languages we have got more problems. Next, so prevention and control. So how we can prevent these control and sequence bugs? One is so theoretical treatment, and you are going to write so unit testing, structural testing, path testing, and functional testing. These testings you are going to perform. So next one is logic bugs. We discuss about structural bugs. We have 5 types of structural bugs. So control sequence bugs, logic bugs, so processing bugs, initialization bugs, data flow bugs, and anomalies. The second bug in structural bugs are logic bugs. Logic bugs. So what is a logic bug? In normal scenario, logic bug is nothing but, for example, I give any program to you. So now I give a program addition of 2 numbers. Now you are writing the program C equals to A minus B. Now my yes, the specification of the program is addition of 2 numbers, but you are writing C equals to A minus B. So that is called as a logic bug. Here you write a wrong logic. Now, some misunderstanding of the semantics of the control structures and logical operators, the improper layout of cases, including impossible and ignoring necessary cases, and using look alike operator, improper simplification, confusing example or with inclusive or. That means logical bugs is nothing but you are using some other operator instead of an operator. For example, for perform the addition of 2 numbers, you are going to use minus, simply saying. So for example, you are going to find any or operation, you are going to use XOR operation. So R means this is the R, instead of R you are going to XOR. So these leads to logic bugs. So deeply nested conditional statements and using many logical operations in one statement. That means many statements you are going to put in one nested control statement that leads to the logic bugs. So how we can prevent and control these logic bug means, so logic testing, so careful checks and functional testing. You're going to test, so if you are performing these testing methodologies on your software, then you are going to prevent and control the logic bugs. So one is logic testing, so careful checks and functional testing. Okay, so these testings you are going to do on the software. So next one, the third one is processing bugs. Processing bugs. Arithmetic, algebraic, mathematical function evaluation, algorithm, selection, and general processing, data type conversion, ignoring overflow, improper use of relation operators called as a processing bugs. Here, the already we discussed about logic bugs. So logic means improper layout of the cases, including impossible and ignoring necessary cases. So processing bug is nothing but if you are writing any processing instructions, for example, c equals to a minus a, c instead of c equals to a plus b, if you are writing a minus b. Okay, so this we are called as a processing bug actually. Okay, so this is processing bug. How we can prevent that? So how we can prevent that? So caught in unit testing have only localized effect and domain testing methodologies. So next one is initialization bugs. So forgetting to initialize workspace, registers or data areas, wrong initial value of loop control parameter, accepting a parameter without a validation check, initialize to wrong data type or format, and these are very common. So remedies, so programming tools, explicit declaration and type checking in source language, preprocessors, and data flow test methods help design to test and debug. So it is the initialization of bugs. I hope you all know that to find sum of a elements in array. So initially you are taking the sum equals to 0. So why? If you are not initialize these value, if you not initialize this sum value, then it leads to wrong result. So you are going to initialize this sum variable equals to 0. So if you are not initializing means that bug we are called as a initialization bugs. So forgetting to initialize workspace, registers or data areas, wrong initial value of a loop control parameter. For example, this is a sum equals to 10. I am initializing. Then also we get the wrong output. Okay. So how we can prevent or correct these errors means, so programming tools, explicit declarations and type checking in source language, and we are going to use some preprocessors, and data flow test methods help design of test and debugging. So this is about initialization of bugs. So next one, data flow bugs and anomalies. So run into an uninitialized variable, not storing modified data, the reinitialization without an intermediate use, and detected mainly by execution. So how we can detect means, the remedies are data flow testing methods and matrix based testing methods. So for example, in our previous bug is initialization bug. I am initializing sum equals to 0 in my program. If I write this instruction in the for loop, then this we are called as a data flow bugs and anomalies. So run into an uninitialized variable, not storing modified data. So reinitialization without any intermediate use. So detected mainly by execution. That means whenever I enter into this loop, always the some value becomes 0. So this we are called as a data flow bugs and anomalies. Okay, so how we can prevent or correct these errors, these bugs? So these bugs can be prevented and corrected with the help of data flow testing methods and matrix based testing methods. So next one, data bugs. Depends on the types of data or the representation of data. So this we are called as a data bugs. There are 4 subcategories. One is generic data bugs, dynamic versus static data, information, parameter and control bugs, contents, structure and attributes related bugs. Okay, so these type of bugs we are called as a data bugs. They are called as a data bugs. So these are data bugs. One is generic data bugs, so dynamic data versus static data, information parameter and control bugs, and content structure and attribute related bugs. Now we see so generic data bugs. Coming to generic data bugs, so due to data object specifications, formats of objects and other initial values. So common as much as in code, especially as the code migrates to data. Data bug introduces an operative statement bug is harder to find. So generalized components with reusability when customized from a large parametric data to specification installation. So these type of bugs we are called as a generic data bugs. So due to data object specifications, so formats, so objects their initial values. So common as much as in code, especially as the code migrates to data. So data bug introduces an operative statement bug and is harder to find. So generalized components with reusability when customized from a large parametric data to specific installation. So what are the remedies for these generic data types means using the control tables in law of code facilitates software to handle the many transaction types with fewer data bugs. So control tables have hidden programming language in the databases. So that means you are going to write some control tables. So these control tables you are going to use to know the value of the data variable, to know the values of the variables. Now, so based on that, you are going to identify the values. So you can identify the data bug, generic data bug. So caution, there are no compiler for the hidden control language in data tables. So this is about generic data bugs. So next one is so dynamic data versus static data. So dynamic data bugs are so transitory. So dynamic data bugs are transitory. That means it is difficult to catch. That means this is depends on some other condition. So based on that, the data will be changed. So it is transitory and it is difficult to catch. Static data bugs, so fixed in form and content. So due to an error in a shared storage object initialization, appear in source code or database directly or indirectly. The dynamic data bugs are due to unclean leftover garbage in a shared resource. And static data bugs, software to produce object code creates a static data table bugs possible. Coming to examples. So generic and shared variables. Coming to static data bugs, so telecom systems of generic parameters, a generic large program and site adapter program to set parameter values, so build data declarations, etc. These are the static data bugs. Simply saying dynamic data bugs has nothing but, for example, I want to initialize a data, and the data get the I initialize this data variable from output of another program. Now, this type of initialization we are called as a dynamic data box. Static data box is nothing but in the program only I am going to initialize the data value. For example, the variable sum equals to 0. Sum equals to 0. So this is the static declaration. So for example, I want to assign a value to this sum variable that is returned by some other function. So this we are called as a dynamic data. And shared data structure and post processor to install software packages. Data is initialized at runtime with configuration handled by the tables. So prevention, so data validation, unit testing. So how we can prevent the static data bugs? So compile time processing and source language features. Okay. So what is the next type? The next type is information parameter and control bugs. Information parameter and control bugs. Static or dynamic data can serve in any of three forms. It is a matter of perspective. So what is the information can be a data parameter or control data else where in a program. So example, so name, hash code function. So using these a variable in different context. So one is the information. So dynamic, local to single transaction or task. And second one parameter. So parameter passed to a call. So control data used in control structures for a decision. So what is the third one? Information, parameter and control bugs. So what is the information here? Information is nothing but dynamic or local to a single transaction or a task. So parameter is nothing but parameter passed to a function call. So control bugs is nothing but data used in a control structures for a decision. So bugs usually simple bugs and easy to catch. When a subroutine is modified, forgetting to update the data validation code results in these bugs. So how we can prevent or correct these type of information parameter and control bugs means proper data validation code. You are going to use proper data validation code for these type of bugs. So next, fourth one, content, structure and attribute related bugs. So contents, structure and attribute related bugs. First one, what's the contents? So contents are pure bit pattern and bugs are due to misinterpretation or corruption of it. Structure means size, shape and alignment of data object in memory. A structure may have substructures. And attributes, semantics associated with the contents, that is integer string subroutines. Bug severity and subtlety increases from contents to attributes as they get less formal. Structural bugs may be due to wrong declaration or when the same contents are interpreted by multiple structures differently. And attributes bugs are due to some misinterpretation of data type, probably at an interface. Okay, so coming to content, structure and attribute related bugs. So what is the content? What is the content bug? So contents are pure bit pattern and bugs are due to misinterpretation or corruption of it. For example, in your program, so for example, I am taking that a equals to -10. Okay, so this we are called as a data. This is the content we are going to store in this variable. Now, if you misinterpret this data, so that we are called as a content bug. That means the assumption is you are taking how it is stored as a bit format. So that is different from actual. And structure, size, shape and alignment of data object in memory. How this variable a, so for example, it is the int a, then how it is stored. If it is a float a, how it is stored in the memory. Okay, so that we are called as a structure bug. Size, shape, and alignment of data object in memory. The structure may have substructures. That means if you are taking any array, so for example, if you define any array, so this array have some substructures. Or if you take any structure or union also. Attributes, semantics associated with the contents. That means the data type or any pointer you assign. So all these we are called as a attributes of that data. So bug severity and subtlety increases from contents to attributes as they get lost. Formal structural bugs may be due to wrong declaration or when same contents are interpreted by some multiple structures so differently, and attributes bugs are due to misinterpretation of data type so probably at an interface. And preventions, so how we can prevent these data bugs. So good source language, documentation and coding styles including data dictionary, data structures be globally administrated, strongly typed language prevent mixed manipulation of data. In assembly language program, use field access macros and not directly accessing any field. So this last point regarding the assembly language. If you are using the assembly language for your software, then it is used field access macros and not directly accessing any field. And this is about the content structures and attributes related bugs. Okay. In today's class, we complete 3 types of bugs. So tomorrow class, we are going to discuss about the remaining bugs. So in today's class, we discuss these 3 bugs. One is requirements, feature, functionality bugs, and structural bugs and data bugs. In next class, we are going to discuss about the coding bugs, interface integration and system bugs, and testing and test design bugs.